It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
The Speed Station welcomes you to North Wilkesboro Speedway for the running of the Winston 400. In the race analysis, today's event will take place over the course of 200 laps around this 3/5 mile in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 50 and stage number 2 coming to its conclusion on lap 100. And folks, it is throwback weekend. You're going to see some of the most unique and famous paint schemes of NASCAR's storied past here today in the Winston 400, as this weekend is the official throwback weekend of NASCAR here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And folks, this is a very tough racetrack, and along with it is a grueling race. While 200 laps might not sound like that much of a challenge, this racetrack has a lot of unique quirks to it that make it a challenge almost every lap to the 42 competitors on track. And Jimmie Johnson is back in the NASCAR Cup Series, at least for this weekend, at North Wilkesboro, driving the number 92 Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing in tribute to his former Busch Grand National Series team, Herzog Motorsports, that he started his NASCAR career with. As you recall, last season, Jimmie Johnson came within just a few laps of winning in NASCAR's return to the famous North Wilkesboro Speedway, but he got beat out very late in the race by a charging number 3 of Austin Dillon, who had put on fresh tires and driven his way all the way up through the field. Jimmie Johnson looking for redemption this weekend at North Wilkesboro after a close second-place finish earlier on this season as well at the Brickyard 400, losing out to Matt DiBenedetto in nearly a photo finish. And like I alluded to, this is very much a finesse racetrack. It lends itself to veteran experience to get around this place. Its uniqueness in the fact that it's actually built on the side of a hill. You're going downhill through turns 1 and 2 and uphill through turns 3 and 4 makes this racetrack handle very uniquely in each set of corners. That alone, combined with the tough racing surface and the necessity of tire management, makes this track into a very big challenge for the competitors, and you will most likely see that veteran experience rising to the top over the course of these 200 laps. And folks, there is a new sealer on top of the racing surface here at North Wilkesboro. That's just designed to help the asphalt stay together just a little bit, but what it has done is it's changed the dynamic of racing just a little bit at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and that is due to the way the tire fall-off works here now with that new sealer on the surface. The tires, as they degrade, actually fill in the bottom groove of the racetrack, leaving the inside line of the track a little bit less toothed than the outside lines of this racetrack. So actually, over the course of these 200 laps, you could expect to see multi-groove racing as the groove migrates up the hill as the tires degrade, because it fills in that inside line, making it a lot smoother, but at the same time, you get a little bit less bite there. It becomes smooth, almost glass-like, as it fills in with rubber. And typically when they put a sealer on a racetrack, it makes it very smooth, but not the case here at North Wilkesboro. Much like what we see actually at Rockingham Speedway ever since they resealed that place. It's still very rough at both Rockingham and North Wilkesboro, so that tire management is still very important. Most notably, that right rear tire. You do not want to burn it up coming off of either turn 2 or turn 4. This is a relatively flat short track, at least in comparison to a place such as Bristol, so you really do rely on that right rear tire to get the car off of the corners. So you do not want to burn up that right rear by experiencing too much wheel spin. You want to be able to modulate that right foot to make sure that you keep that tire on your race car over the course of these runs. As I mentioned, because of that new sealer, you will be seeing multi-groove racing, just like what we saw in the Winston 200 in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, when the middle to outside lines actually became usable at the end of the race. And I don't know how many times I've had to say it, but I will keep saying it through the entire duration of the season at this point. It's the playoffs. Win and you are in. This is the first race of the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series. If you win here today at North Wilkesboro, not only is that a big feather in your cap, winning at one of NASCAR's most famous facilities, but also it will make sure that you do not have to worry at all about making your way into the round of 8 through Michigan or the Roval at Charlotte. Considering that Michigan International Speedway almost races like a super speedway now, and the wild card that is the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, this possibly is the race you could win with the least amount of headache. And also I should mention that playoff indication on the Cup Series cars here today is actually a throwback in and of itself to the old Winston Noble 5 program. So all the playoff cars are running a red splitter, roof number, and rear spoiler. And here are the point standings in the NASCAR Cup Series following the round of 16 elimination, now coming into the first race of the round of 12. Daniel Suarez currently sets atop the point standings with a series-leading 4 wins on the year, with his most recent coming in the second race of the round of 16 at Rockingham Speedway. Behind him is Kyle Busch in the number 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. He won the most recent Cup Series race, the Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. He currently sets second in point standings, 12 points out of the point lead. As well as being 12 points out of the point lead, we also have regular season championship battlers Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano. Harvick, who hasn't won a race since Louisville earlier this season, and Joey Logano, who hasn't won a race since Nashville in March of 2020. Won the regular season championship this season and made the round of 12 with all the playoff points he scored from that regular season championship. Currently sets fourth in points right now. Still would like to get a win on the season, but he would be just fine if he could Matt Crafton his way to a winless championship. Chase Elliott sets fifth in points, 13 points out of the point lead. This is a huge rebound from last season. As you recall, last year, Chase Elliott only won one race, which was the playoff race at Michigan, and actually missed the playoffs altogether. Finished 27th in point standings. There was even thoughts that after this season he might be released from Hendrick Motorsports if that type of runs continued. Well, this season he really rebounded with 2 wins on the season already at Nashville and at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. Currently sets 5th in points with now the round of 12 up in front of him. Denny Hamlin sets 6th in points, 14 points out of the point lead. Chase Briscoe sets 7th, 17 points out of the point lead, as well as Brandon Jones and Alex Bowman setting 17 points out with 2 and 1 victories respectively. Martin Truex Jr., who still hasn't won a racetrack not named Dover in more than 2 years, he sets 10th in point standings, 20 points out of the point lead coming into the round of 12. Michael Mcdowell, who very impressively made the round of 12 on points, he sets 11th in point standings, 22 points out of the point lead. And honestly, you might have to watch out for him because in this round we have a race at Michigan and a race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Michael is a very good super speedway racer. He scored 2 victories already in his Cup Series career at both Talladega and Daytona, respectively. However, he's also a very good road course racer. He came from that type of background, considering that also the round of 8 has Talladega in it, and he won that race, the Yellowwood 500, last season. It's entirely possible, honestly, that Michael Mcdowell could make the championship 4 this season, if all things go well. Kaz Gralla is the last driver setting in point standings who is still in contention for the championship. Sets 12th in points, 22 points out of the point lead as well. In the number 50 for Richard Childress Racing. You got to admit, it's been a very, very impressive rookie season for Kaz Gralla. By the way, already locked up the Rookie of the Year honors very early by just qualifying for the playoffs in general. Then we have the drivers who missed out on advancement to the round of 12, those being Justin Allgaier, Kyle Larson, Matt DiBenedetto, and Josh Bilicki. Currently, obviously, Allgaier setting the highest of all the drivers who have been eliminated so far. And then we have the highest driver in point standings who did not make the playoffs whatsoever is Clint Boyer, who sets 17th with 12 top 10s this season. Pretty impressive number there. Boyer in his final full-time season, the 2019 Series champ, still looking for a victory to close out his final full-time season. He's come close quite a few times this season, primarily on short tracks, and here today at North Wilkesboro could be yet another opportunity for Clint Boyer. Eric Jones sets 18th in points. He's still looking for a win to close out this season. Same situation for Ross Chastain. And Brad Keselowski finally got his win in the Cookout Southern 500, but he obviously did not make the playoffs this season and sets 20th in point standings. NASCAR invited once again 6 drivers to conduct a multi-car next-gen test at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. 2 represented from each manufacturer, obviously from Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet. The drivers participating in the 6-car test included Harrison Burton in the 95 for Levine Family Racing, the 20 of Brandon Jones for Joe Gibbs Racing, the 6 of Ryan Newman for Roush Fenway, the number 8 of Tyler Reddick for Richard Childress Racing, the 24 of William Byron for Hendrick Motorsports, who had already been up into the outside wall, and the 21 of Austin Cindric for Wood Brothers Racing. And what all 6 drivers noticed from the test is that this car Much like the feedback that we've heard all season long, it handles very good. But once you get it loose just a little bit, that lack of side force will catch up to you very quickly, which is why, for instance, William Byron got up into the outside wall. But just like what we're seeing right here in this battle between the 95 and 20, and obviously this is just a test, but as you can tell, it's pretty darn easy to close that gap up to the car up in front of you and make that move. You do not have that big amount of side force you're dealing with trying to pass another car. Not nearly as big of a wake. Also, the rear diffuser on the back of the car helps this situation as well. And it keeps the dirty air from really lifting the nose of the car trailing and allows you to make passes relatively easily, which is why we just saw Brandon Jones make his way around the 95 of Harrison Burton, and now it looks like the 6 of Ryan Newman closing the gap up to the 95 of Burton as well. Burton runs it wide just a little bit coming off of turn 4 and actually hits the outside wall, makes a little bit of contact with Ryan Newman. But guess what? No tire rub. Once again, another good test of these composite bodies. Because on the current car, he'd likely be in some serious trouble after making wall contact like that. The 6 drivers were very impressed with what they experienced out of this next-gen car, in particular the fact that it does not burn up that right rear tire nearly as much as our current car, and that's due to this thing having independent rear suspension and slightly wider tires. It's a little bit more responsive overall, a little bit more forgiving when it comes to the mechanical grip side of things. What you're really losing is that side force, so you don't want to get this thing very loose, because if you do, odds are you won't be able to catch it. At least you don't get that second chance like you do with our current car. Expect the cream to rise to the top for the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season as this car rewards precision driving. Hello everyone, welcome back to the NASCAR Cup Series ride-along segment. Been a while since I've been able to do one of these. Glad to be back in the test car here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. One of the best racetracks we go to, right here coming off of pit road onto the access road, somewhat more or less just on the apron. Right here merging with the racetrack down the back straightaway. You can tell right there already the elevation change on this 3/5 mile makes each end of the speedway unique as we take the green flag, I guess you could say, for a mock run. Right here running down the hill and into the bottom of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. A little bit easier to get the handle through 1 and 2 as you run through essentially a valley, coming back up the hill down the back straightaway, and now on top of the hill through turns 3 and 4. The car doesn't want to turn nearly as much through turns 3 and 4. It's a little bit less banked, and you run on top of the hill, so it's a lot harder to run up there because it almost feels like you're going off camber, honestly, because you're right on top of the hill, rolling on top of it. Rolling at the bottom, coming up, it's almost like the elevation change helps your car turn, and it hurts it through 3 and 4. That's what I mentioned about veteran experience really coming into play, is being able to get your car to turn at both ends of the speedway is how you're going to be faster today. As I slid just a little bit there coming into turns 1 and 2. We really want to be careful, especially at this place, with that right foot. And that's smoothly applying the throttle pedal coming off the corners, because you do not want to get that right rear to start spinning, because it's hard to recover from that. Once you get that right rear a little bit too hot and start burning it off, it's hard to get that back over the course of a run, and that can get you in trouble and down a lap very quickly. You want to make sure you keep that right rear tire together so you can keep that really good acceleration coming off the corners and rocket your way down the straightaways, because that tire is the easiest one to burn off here at North Wilkesboro. Obviously the right front is very critical in turning as well, but that on-throttle application, especially with a lower banked short track such as Wilkesboro, it's very critical to making it all the way through these 200 laps and potentially taking home the checkered flag at the end of the day. So expect a very intense race here today at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Winston 400. But whoever wins this thing is going to be the smartest driver and team combination, when to put on those tires and how to manage them to get your way all the way to the checkered flag with the least amount of wear and with the best track position to take home the victory in today's Winston 400 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. It's definitely going to be a fun one as we kick off the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. And so have a look at your qualifying results for today's Winston 400 here from North Wilkesboro Speedway. Those two names at the top look familiar. They battled for the victory here last season, but the qualifying results is an inversion of how they ended up last year. Jimmy Johnson comes out here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, only third start of the year, and puts that number 92 for Chip Ganassi Racing on the pole by 1/1000th of a second above Austin Dillon in the number 3 car for Richard Childress Racing, who won this race last season. A very intense moment in qualifying. Daniel Suarez, who still leads the field with victories this season with 4 wins on the year, he qualifies in 3rd position, the highest starting playoff contender. Behind him, we have the number 4 car of Kevin Harvick, throwing back to his 1998 Winston West Series championship. He will start the number 4 machine from 4th position. Clint Boyer, in what could possibly be his final start at North Wilkesboro Speedway, qualified in 5th position in the number 14 for Stewart-Haas Racing. William Byron, who will be moving over to Haas Racing next season to drive the number 10 car. He qualifies the 24 for Hendrick Motorsports in 6th spot. Ross Chastain, still searching for his first career Cup Series victory. He starts from 7th. Austin Cindric, in the famous number 21 for the Wood Brothers, will start from 8th position. Brad Keselowski, the winner of the Cookout Southern 500, will start from 9th. And Chase Briscoe will start the number 53 RCA Chevrolet from 10th position. And here's the starting positions of the rest of the round of 12 contenders still chasing that championship. We have the number 50 of Kaz Gralla, who will start from 13th spot. The 22 of Joe Logano from 14th position. The 9 of Chase Elliott from 15th. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. will start from 18th spot. The 11 of Denny Hamlin from 20th. The 48 of Alex Bowman from 21st position. The 18 of Kyle Busch from 22nd. The 34 of Michael Mcdowell from 30th. And the 20 of Brandon Jones starting all the way down in 31st position, the lowest starting playoff contender. Obviously, all 12 playoff drivers made the race here in the Winston 400. And here's the list of drivers who did not make the show here at North Wilkesboro. We had 6 cars go home, those being the number 7 of Corey LaJoie, the 38 of Anthony Alfredo, the 51 of J.J. Yaley, the number 60 of Timmy Hill, the 78 of B.J. McLeod, and the number 96 of Drew Herring all missed the field here at North Wilkesboro. And so now let's get down trackside for the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, boys, just like we talked about in the meeting, what's going to pay off for us today is patience and consistency. Good, smooth racing on the racetrack, and that's what will take us up to the front. We'll be there at the end of this thing.
And so now the field slowly paces through turns 3 and 4, being led by 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson, awaiting the green flag here at North Wilkesboro. The flagman has the green flag in hand as the field comes onto the front straightaway, and there it is. We are now underway for the Winston 400 here from North Wilkesboro. Jimmie Johnson got a great launch down to turn number 1, clearing the outside row of Austin Dillon. Now on the inside, Daniel Suarez trying to take over 2nd spot. And it looks like he's going to do it as Dillon runs very wide through turns 3 and 4. Opens up the door for numerous cars down on the bottom. There's cars sliding and using up every inch of the racing surface already. Jimmie Johnson leads the first lap. Daniel Suarez running 2nd. Clint Boyer now into 3rd as we have an ongoing battle for 4th position between Brad Keselowski and Ross Chastain. Look at Suarez using that almost outside line right now, trying to reel in the 92 of Johnson, as Jimmie still holds the race lead now on lap number 3. Here comes the 88 of Brad Keselowski down on the inside of the 14 of Clint Boyer. Those two battling for 3rd. Right there, Boyer actually holds outside line momentum and clears the 88 of Keselowski through turns 3 and 4. Ryan Newman just barely put the bumper to the 88, coming off of turn number 4 right there, as Newman now runs in 5th position. The 92 of Jimmie Johnson trying to escape the field right now. About half a second, almost the separation between him and the 2nd place runner of Daniel Suarez, as now Newman has forced his way to the inside of the 88 of Brad Keselowski. And right there, the number 6 car will take over the 4th position. Kevin Harvick in the Spears Manufacturing number 4, trying to break his way up into the top 5 by following on the inside line of Ryan Newman. Keselowski overdrives the corner, and Kevin Harvick will take over 5th. As that number 3 car of Austin Dillon has really started to drop back. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. got up into the outside wall, coming off of turn number 4, but the number 3 of Dillon now runs down in 12th position, being challenged by the 57 of Kyle Larson. As you see farther back, the 1 of Kurt Busch makes the move on the 48 of Alex Bowman. Now Dillon up into the outside wall. He gets the car corrected, but loses even more time as there was contact farther back. Couldn't quite make out who that was, but there was some door-to-door action. As now we have a bit of a battle for second position. Clint Boyer works his way underneath the 00, actually puts the bumper to him, coming off of turn number 4. And so Clint Boyer is going to take over the second position. Jimmy Johnson still out front. 00 holding good momentum up on the high side. Coming down into turn number 3, they still run side by side. And coming off of turn number 4, it looks like the 14 of Clint Boyer will take over that second position. Right now, Ryan Newman being hounded by the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. For the 4th position, Chase Elliott has made his way all the way up to 6th right now. 3 Hendrick cars running in a gaggle right there. Elliott, Keselowski, and William Byron. As here comes Harvick to the inside of Newman. Running side by side down to turn number 1 as Kevin Harvick will take away that 4th position in the number 4 car. Jimmy Johnson still holds a half a second separation above the second place runner of Clint Boyer. As you can see, though, multiple lines being used here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. The 14 actually carrying good momentum off the second line as Jimmy Johnson runs the inside. Now Johnson went up the racetrack just a little bit as the lead got cut down to just 0.3 of a second between the 7-time champ and the 2019 series titleist. However, the highest running playoff contender is still the 00 of Daniel Suarez, and second highest being the 4 of Kevin Harvick. The lowest running playoff contender right now is the number 34 of Michael Mcdowell. He runs all the way down in the 38th position, and the second lowest is the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., currently running in 35th. Here comes Brad Keselowski making the move down on the inside of the 6 of Ryan Newman. That's going to move BK up into 5th position, cracking his way into the top 5, running a throwback to his old JRM machine that he used to run for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in then the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And as you can tell, the number 9 on the roof of Chase Elliott's Napa Chevrolet is actually positioned upside down, and that is on purpose. That's because his father, Bill Elliott, back in 1995, ran an upside-down roof decal in his first start for his own race team, and that is what the throwback for Chase Elliott is this weekend as the 24 of William Byron, his teammate, got up into the outside wall coming off of turn number 4, opening up the door for Chase down on the inside to take away the 7th position. Right now, the 53 of Chase Briscoe currently dropping back, right now being hounded by the 57 of Kyle Larson, as the 50 of Kaz Gralla has broken his way up into the top 10. And while that battle was ongoing, the number 14 of Clint Boyer worked his way to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson pushed just a little bit coming off of turn number 4, allowing the perfect opportunity for Clint Boyer to slip by on the inside. Number 14 now out front here at North Wilkesboro. Through turns 3 and 4, the 14 car slid up the racetrack just a little bit as the 92 has started to really push. Already the separation about 3 car lengths between the number 92 and 14 as the 00 actually followed Jimmy Johnson up the racetrack. Now we have a bit of a 4-car battle for the race lead. Boyer currently the leader, Johnson running second, and here comes Kevin Harvick making the move for 3rd spot. Harvick now the top running playoff contender here at North Wilkesboro as Clint Boyer out front trying to take home a victory in his final full-time season. It looks like Daniel Suarez trying to hound the 4-car just a little bit up on the outside. Through turns 3 and 4, Kevin Harvick will finally clear that 00. Very good racing already here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, just 19 laps in. But we're seeing that multi-groove action going on, especially with that 00 of Suarez all the way up on the top of the track, carrying that high side momentum to stay right up in front of the 88 of Brad Keselowski. Oh, and Jimmy Johnson's not done. He's starting to get some good momentum built. Got a very good exit of turn number 4 and closed the gap to less than 0.2 of a second up to the number 14 of Clint Boyer. Johnson and this number 92 team have been performing exceptionally well for Chip Ganassi Racing this season. Here comes Johnson side by side with the number 14 of Boyer for the race lead. And at the line, scoring actually gave it to the 92 of Jimmy Johnson, and Johnson takes away the race lead coming off of turn number 2. Boyer and Harvick, the teammates at Stewart-Haas Racing, now battle for second. Kevin Harvick's going to take that spot away. He works his way to the inside of Jimmy Johnson just barely. Got a little bit tight coming off of turn number 4, as I believe the 55 car of Ross Chastain just made contact with the outside wall coming off turn number 4. But now we have about 6 cars under a blanket for the race lead here at North Wilkesboro. And I mentioned during pre-race that this racetrack really lends itself to experience. Well, how about these front runners? The entire top 4 are champions. The race leader, a 7-time champion. Johnson out front above Harvick, Boyer, and Keselowski. Then we have the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Not yet a champion, but does lead the series in victories this season, with 4 so far. And Ryan Newman, the 2002 Cup Series Rookie of the Year award winner, currently runs in 6th position. And here comes a bit of a run out of the 00 of Suarez, trying to get side by side with the 14 of Clint Boyer. And the number 3 car of Austin Dillon is down pit road on lap number 25, as well as the number 24 of William Byron. They have opened up the pit window, as you do have to make at least 1 pit stop to make it to the end of stage number 1. These two trying to short pit the field and hoping for no caution flags. We have a battle for 2nd position. The 00 of Suarez to the inside of the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. And Daniel Suarez is now back up into 2nd position as the 2 Stewart Haas Racing cars drop off just a little bit. And so now William Byron carving his way through the field on those fresh tires, trying to get up to at least being 1 lap down, as we have 2 cars on pit road this time by as well. Those being the 53 of Chase Briscoe, the playoff contender, and the 89 of Landon Castle, also trying to short pit the field. A lot of interesting pit strategy going on right now on lap number 30. 24 Byron easily makes his way by the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Jimmy Johnson still out front. He's going to be hassled by his former teammate William Byron as well. Byron easily makes his way to the inside of the 92 of Johnson and gets 1 of his laps back. You see the number 3 of Austin Dillon starting to make his way through the field as well. Johnson forced wide by the 24 of Byron. That's going to give the 00 of Daniel Suarez a shot at that number 92 car. But Suarez overdrives turns 3 and 4. Just barely got himself in trouble right there. Dropped off a few tenths off the back bumper of the 92. And is now back into the hands of the 14 of Clint Boyer. As here comes that 3 of Austin Dillon, really driving his way through the field on those fresh tires. And you know, we're hearing up and down the pit lane, a lot of these drivers have no intentions of pitting during the course of this stage. So that might be very, very bad news for a lot of the competitors who came down pit road hoping that everyone would come down with them. But we're hearing that some of these front runners will try and stretch their fuel, because they should be just 1 or 2 laps short, and that you can save in the amount of time left to lap number 50. So we got some strategy going on unless we get a caution flag, and that would still be bad news for all the competitors who came down pit road. Look at Austin Dillon. Fresh tires, passing cars up on the outside of the racetrack. Very impressive right there, and that shows off the multiple grooves here at North Wilkesboro that are available since the sealer has been put down on the surface. On Ryan Newman, just got up into the outside wall coming off of turn number 4. Quite a bit of right side damage on the number 6 machine. And we got some drivers on pit road, including the 40 of Quinn Houff and the 34 of Michael Mcdowell this time by. Also in, we have the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. and the 41 of Cole Custer, as well as the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Jimmy Johnson still out front, being hounded now by the 3 of Austin Dillon. Guess what? On fresh tires. Doesn't that sound familiar? But this time it's just for Dillon to get back to the status of being 1 lap down. Down the inside of the track, you see the lap car of Kaz Gralla there as well. He put on tires on the last pit stop. Down the inside of the track, you see the number 50 of Kaz Gralla as well. He just came off pit road. We got even more contenders down this time by, including the 22 of Joey Logano. Makes you wonder if some of these front runners will be coming down pit road, maybe changing up their strategy because of how many are coming in. But then again, if they can try and stay out and make it all the way to the end of this stage, they will have lapped a tremendous amount of cars. Currently, you see the 34 and 50 cars working their way around race leader Jimmy Johnson. Now just 10.5 laps to go in stage number 1. The situation's getting a little bit iffy right now for these front runners. It'll be very impressive to see whether or not they can make it to the finish, because they will have lapped a tremendous amount of the field. Right now, there are 27 cars still on the lead lap, as we have less than 10 laps to go in stage number 1 now, with the 00 of Suarez reeling in that 92 of Jimmy Johnson. He makes his way to the inside, gets great exit of turn number 4 as the 89 of Landon Cassill hits the outside wall, as well as the 88 of Brad Keselowski battle side by side for the top spot, as Daniel Suarez will take it away coming off of turn number 2 off the 7-time champion of Jimmy Johnson. And Boyer forces his way underneath the 92 car as well. Here comes 2 cars on fresh tires, those being the 53 of Briscoe and the 89 of Landon Cassill. Johnson gets forced wide by Briscoe running the middle. And Briscoe threads the needle on those fresh tires, passing one on the outside and one on the inside, going through the second and third place runners as Cassill puts the bumper to the 14 of Boyer. Now we have teammates running nose to tail, that being the 53 of Briscoe trying to get one of his laps back, and the race leader of Suarez. Suarez going to give him the top of the racetrack, and Briscoe's going to get one of his laps back. As you saw, the 11 of Denny Hamlin was on pit road. But right now, the 00 of Daniel Suarez still out on the racetrack. Right now, there are 26 cars on the lead lap. Just 6 laps to go in stage number 1. And there you see the 89 of Landon Cassill make his way around the 00 of Daniel Suarez. You can tell just how much slower these front runners are, because they are backing the pace down to make it all the way to the end of this stage. As Clint Boyer has taken over second, Brad Keselowski hit the pits as well for his service. 5 laps to go now in stage number 1. Another teammate hounding the 00 of Suarez. Magnussen goes all the way to the top of the racetrack and carries great momentum coming off the high side. Suarez essentially letting his teammate by to get at least one of his laps back. Multiple different strategies playing out right now on lap number 47. And here comes the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. really sailing that outside line around the second and third place runners of Boyer and Jimmy Johnson. Look at that momentum they're able to carry on those fresh tires. And also the fact that the leaders are backing down the pace to make it on fuel. It's going to be close, but they're going to be able to lap an awful lot of competitive race cars. Martin Truex Jr. gets one of his laps back. Now 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Boyer not close enough to catch the 00 of Daniel Suarez, as all these front runners just back the pace down, trying to make it to the end of the stage. There's the white flag in stage number 1 for the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Keselowski trying very hard to get at least one of his laps back. But the separation between first and second is now more than 1 second. Now racing his way through turns 3 and 4, Daniel Suarez, running nearly unopposed, is going to take home the stage number 1 victory, stretching his field to the end. Suarez takes home the stage 1 victory above the 14 of Clint Boyer, the 92 of Jimmy Johnson, the 4 of Kevin Harvick, and the 9 of Chase Elliott. And just look at how many cars they have put a lap down by staying out and stretching their field to the end. There's now just 25 cars on the lead lap. And so, folks, we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be back for the beginning of stage number 2. And so welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. The strategy got very interesting over the course of stage number 1, and now Daniel Suarez leads all the cars who opted not to pit over the course of stage number 1 down pit road for their scheduled service. And you know, these front runners were able to stretch their field all the way to the end because they had gained such a big lead from the beginning of the race that they had a very large margin towards the end of stage number 1 where they could just keep backing that pace down, reaching their way into that fuel window and making it at the end of these 50 laps that compose stage number 1. But racing very hard at the back of the field is what caught out a lot of these competitors, which are now setting 1 or 2 laps down because they had to pit over the course of the first stage. But now Daniel Suarez is the first car off of pit road, Clint Boyer off in second, Jimmy Johnson third, Kevin Harvick fourth, and Chase Elliott rounding out your top 5. And I think what caught out most of these teams is the fact that they were expecting at least one caution flag over the course of stage number 1 that would allow them to back that pace down and easily make their fuel window, but the caution flag never came, so they had to push it the full duration of the 50 laps, and it definitely came back to bite an awful lot of teams. That's why there's only 25 cars in the lead lap. We had a few more come down pit road this time by that were lap down cars, such as Austin Dillon and William Byron. We have quite a few lap cars from Keselowski all the way up to the pacing line leader of the number 6 of Ryan Newman, who are staying out in front of race leader Daniel Suarez, hoping to keep one of their laps, as they might be lucky enough to get a caution right after the restart. And so because there are so many lap cars restarting up in front of race leader Daniel Suarez, there is now technically 31 cars on the lead lap. And so we are going to go green this time by. There are 13 lap cars restarting up in front of race leader Daniel Suarez. And so the lap car of Ryan Newman leads the field through turns 3 and 4 in a single file pacing line, running that throwback to Mark Martin from the 2004 Budweiser shootout. Flagman has the green flag in hand, and there it is for stage number 2. We are now underway. 13 lap cars restarting up in front of race leader Daniel Suarez, as they're already getting racy up in front of the 00. Coming off of turn number 2, there's 3 wide action. Kurt Busch up into the outside wall. Here comes the 9 of Chase Elliott to the inside of Daniel Suarez as Austin Cindric makes contact with the outside wall coming off of turn number 4. That checks up the 92 of Jimmy Johnson as the number 9 of Chase Elliott takes away the top spot. Daniel Suarez fighting back through the middle. Those two run side by side, actually a 3-wide battle counting lap traffic. But right there, Chase Elliott surges ahead as Kyle Larson now takes over second. The 53 of Chase Briscoe was down pit road. Loose wheel on the number 53 machine. Very tough break right there, as he's going to drop another lap behind, and that is a playoff contender in deep trouble already. But Chase Elliott works his way through lap traffic as the 22 Logano makes contact with the outside wall. There's nearly trouble in the back as we actually have one car going around. That is the number 77 of Justin Haley as the yellow flag waves. And the caution flag has come out here at the Wilkesboro Speedway. Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson battle for the top spot, but it is Elliott holding the position as the 40 gets turned in front of the field. And Quinn Half has created a large stack up coming down to turn number 1 as the field had to check up for the madness. But Chase Elliott leads the field back to the caution flag above the 57 of Larson, 20 of Brandon Jones, 18 of Kyle Busch, and 37 of Eric Jones. I have to say, that was one heck of a restart, wasn't it? I mean, there was action all throughout this field. But here's what happened to the number 77 of Justin Haley. Coming off of turn number 4, him and Kurt Busch just kind of run out of racetrack. Busch sliding up the racetrack, same situation for the 77. Busch almost up into the outside wall. 77 makes contact with him, and there's a big save out of the 10 of Eric Almirola up in front of those guys. The number 10 car running a Mark Martin throwback, but the number 77 then gets hit by the 24 of William Byron, who's running a throwback to Cecil Gordon, and sent around, bring out the caution flag, but they were not done running into each other. Racing back to the caution flag, we had lap cars getting incredibly dicey up in front of the leaders as they were trying to chase down the number 9 of Chase Elliott to get one of their laps back coming to the caution flag. But the number 40 of Quinn Half pushes it just a little bit too far, gets up into the outside wall, slides down the racetrack. Then the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. clips the 40 of Quinn Half as Half slides down the racetrack, and the 18 of Kyle Busch was there. The most recent race winner in the NASCAR Cup Series gets clipped by the 40 of Quinn Half. He actually slides across the start-finish line in 4th position. Fortunately for Kyle, though, almost no damage really suffered in this one. 92 of Jimmy Johnson does a great job slowing up in time. Really, the field altogether did a great job at not making this too much worse. You see farther back, the 61 of Christopher Bell gets sideways trying to slow up for it. And the number 3 of Austin Dillon got some rear-end damage from the 71 of Josh Bilicki. But really, they kept it pretty tame for how dicey of a situation it became. And so we do not have any more cars that got back on the lead lap after that caution, but we had quite a few cars who were 2 laps down get back to 1 lap down. So now all the way from 37th up to 25th is listed as 1 lap down instead of just being 31st to 25th being a lap down. So we had 6 cars get back to just 1 lap down status following that caution flag. And you know what's incredible is through all that madness, we have quite a few lead lap cars all lining up nose to tail. Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Brandon Jones, Kyle Busch, who opted not to pit, 37 of Eric Jones, and 95 of Harrison Burton are all on the lead lap and racing for the race lead. So the top 6 are going to restart nose to tail. Then we have lap traffic of Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Then the 00 and 92 cars of Suarez and Jimmy Johnson, who dropped back quite a bit on the most recent restart. But I'd say the biggest loser was probably the number 14 of Clint Boyer. He fell all the way down to 13th position. We also had the 4 of Kevin Harvick drop down to 15th as well. And so I will say this, because of all the caution flag laps we are getting in this second stage, we will not be seeing any fuel conservation at the end of this one. Everyone should be good to make it to the end of stage number 2. Now we likely, if we get a long green flag run in the final stage, see quite a bit of strategy as competitors try to save enough to maybe pit just once, likely halfway through the final stage of 100 laps. And so now Chase Elliott, the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, leads the field through turns 3 and 4 for the green flag on lap number 64. Flagman has the green flag in hand as Chase Elliott leads the field into the restart zone. And there is the green flag for the number 9 car. Already we have moves being made, as here comes Kyle Larson trying to force a nose underneath the 9, as now there's a battle for second as Brandon Jones works his way to the inside of the 57. Jones really sent it off into turn number 3 and clears the 57 coming off of turn 4. Playoff contenders now 1-2 with Elliott leading Brandon Jones, and Kyle Busch, even with that little bit of damage he got from the most recent caution, still running very strong. Currently in 4th, trying to reel in the number 57 of Larson for 3rd spot. As Ross Chastain made contact with the outside wall farther back, DiBenedetto slid down into the 21 of Cindric. But they all keep it going. And have a look at this, the 00 and 4 cars of Suarez and Harvick now battle side by side. This is the battle for 9th position, as it looks like Suarez is going to make the move on the inside of the racetrack, forcing the number 4 of Harvick up the hill just a little bit, but Harvick carries that outside line momentum. Up front, we have the 20 of Brandon Jones working his way to the inside of the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Trying to make a look down to the inside. Can't quite make the move happen just yet, as the 20 now searches for grip up higher on the racetrack. Number 9 clears him just barely coming off of turn number 4. 00 of Suarez just made contact with the outside wall farther back in the field, battling side by side with the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. And now here comes the 14 of Clint Boyer, starting to battle with the 95 of Harrison Burton. Burton getting a very good run, that Levine Family Racing number 95 Toyota Camry, currently setting in 6th position. As you recall, earlier this season, he almost won at Louisville Motor Speedway on the short track and actually did score the victory at Pocono Raceway earlier this year as well. Relatively good season for Harrison Burton as the yellow flag now waves. Chase Elliott is going to lead the field back to the caution flag once again. Elliott is your race leader. Above the 20 of Brandon Jones, 57 of Kyle Larson, 18 of Kyle Busch, and 37 of Eric Jones. And so we had a lot of trouble coming off of turn number 4. Watch the number 41 of Cole Custer. Pushes up the racetrack just a little bit coming off of turn number 4. And slides up into the 12 of Ryan Blaney, clipping Blaney down into the 48 of Bowman. 41 hits the inside wall. Bowman hits the outside. They all converge in the middle of the racetrack, collecting the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., the 42 of Justin Allgaier, the 34 car of Michael McDowell does a great job slowing up in time. The 40 of Quinn Half once again involved in an accident, this time colliding with his teammate Justin Allgaier. And the 23 of Bubba Wallace actually has terminal damage out of this blown radiator on the number 23 Toyota Camry, but a lot of trouble coming into turn number 1. Quite a bit of damage as well on the 61 of Christopher Bell, but we had 2 playoff drivers involved in this one. So here's the accident in real time. Right there, 41 slides up into the 12, into the 48. and just absolutely nowhere to go for Justin Allgaier right there. There's a bit of a stack up, which is what gave all the damage to the 61 and 23 cars. I believe the 33 of Magnussen slowed up in time to get no damage out of that. And so following that accident, we have had 2 cars drop out of the race, those being the number 23 of Bubba Wallace and the 61 of Christopher Bell. Now are done for the day. And so we now set halfway through stage number 2 here at North Wilkesboro, and take a look at some of our drivers in the top 6. Chase Elliott out front, Kyle Busch running in 4th, Clint Boyer in 6th. Could we be set up for a classic 2021 short track battle among those 3? We had one at Nashville. We had one among 2 of them at Bristol. Could be set up for another great finish here at North Wilkesboro if those 3 stay up front. And once again, Chase Elliott leads the field through turns 3 and 4 for yet another single file restart here at North Wilkesboro. Flagman has the green flag in hand. And there's the green flag on lap number 77 here in the Winston 400. Chase Elliott once again the race leader, and he gets a great jump through turns 1 and 2 as the 20 of Brandon Jones got a little bit loose on entry. Now Brandon Jones being hounded by the 57 of Larson, but Larson misses turn number 3 and allows Kyle Busch to make the move on the inside. 37 of Eric Jones almost slid up into the quarter panel of the 57 as well, and Kyle Busch now in the 3rd spot. Number 4 of Harvick battles side by side with his teammate of Clint Boyer. Looks like Harvick's going to get the position through turns 3 and 4, forcing his teammate up the hill just a little bit. We got a couple cars on pit road, those being lap cars of Joey Logano and Jan Magnussen. It looks like scheduled pit stops for those 2, but it is going to drop them both down an additional 2 more laps as the 20 of Brandon Jones makes contact with the outside wall, coming off of turn number 4, allowing Kyle Busch to take away the 2nd position, with now his sights set on the 9 of Chase Elliott. We had 1 car drop out of the race on the restart, that being the 40 of Clint Half from damage sustained from the most recent crash, but the yellow flag waves once again. Chase Elliott leads the field back to the caution above the 18 of Kyle Busch, 37 of Eric Jones, 20 of Brandon Jones, and 57 of Kyle Larson. And cautions are breeding cautions here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And on lap number 80, we had a playoff driver get in trouble. The number 50 of Kaz Gralla pushes up just a little bit coming off of turn number 4. Likely does not know that he's being put 4 wide by Kurt Busch and Tyler Reddick on his inside, but he makes contact with the 89 of Landon Castle, gets sliding, gets finished off right there by the 1 of Kurt Busch, who had just nowhere to go, and the 1 actually carries 2 RCR cars into the inside wall. A pretty big hit for the playoff contender of Kaz Gralla, and the 8 of Reddick spins around as well. The field does a good job checking up for this accident. This is what brings out the caution flag on lap number 80. So how about this on lap number 81? We got a little bit of pit strategy. Kyle Busch comes down pit road, as well as the 57 of Kyle Larson. Farther back, we have the 00 in, as well as the 17, 43, and 55 cars. But we have a lot of contenders stay out, including Chase Elliott, Eric Jones, Brandon Jones, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer, making up your top 5. And the second time around, we got quite a few more takers, most of them being lap-down cars. However, the lead lap car of Harrison Burton comes down pit road from 8th position. You know, when I discussed in the pre-race this being a long and grueling race, I wasn't quite expecting it to already be showing by lap number 83. But we only have 22 cars still on the lead lap. We've had quite a few accidents already, so this is, quite frankly, turning into a race of attrition. How about this, folks? The number 71 of Josh Bilicki, he now runs in 9th position for Tommy Baldwin Racing. The team has not shown very much speed outside of super speedways and road courses this year, but it's very refreshing to see them running top 10 on a short track. Remember earlier in the race when Alex Bowman got in trouble on the front straightaway? Well, he now runs in 11th position. Pretty good run going on right now for Bowman. And you know, we have not talked that much about Chris Buescher over the course of this race in that number 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang, but he now runs in 15th place. Not a bad run for that Roush Fenway Racing Ford. And so now on lap 85, the top 2 cars come down pit road. Chase Elliott and Eric Jones hit the pits, as well as the 14 of Clint Boyer and the lap car of Chase Briscoe. Interesting strategy going on right now, as that hands the race lead over to Brandon Jones and Kevin Harvick. Now your top two. Also on pit road, we had the 48 of Alex Bowman coming in for service. And so now Brandon Jones, the playoff contender in the number 20, Ansel and Menard's Toyota Camry, leads the field in a single file pacing line out of turn number 4 and into the restart zone on lap number 86. And there's the green flag with just 14 laps to go in stage number 2. Through turns 1 and 2, the 4 car of Kevin Harvick trying to pressure the number 20, as Aric Almirola getting a good run right now in 3rd position, being hounded by the 26 of Ankrum, who was in trouble earlier on in this race. A big rebound so far for Ankrum. Number 4 of Kevin Harvick all over the back bumper. The 20 as the yellow flag waves once again. Brandon Jones is your race leader back to the caution flag above Kevin Harvick. Aric Almirola, Tyler Ankrum, and Jimmy Johnson. Cautions still breeding cautions. And you know, how ironic is it that we had a caution-free stage number 1, and now we cannot go even 3 laps without getting a caution flag in stage number 2. But watch this. Playoff contender Kyle Busch clips the number 41 of Cole Custer coming off of turn number 2. We saw this quite a bit in the Truck Series race where a car would accidentally come down pit road like this, but Custer gets a car corrected, but Custer hits the sand barrels on the pit road attenuator wall and actually shears the left side of his car off, and right up in front of the field he goes. The 17 of Chris Buescher gets collected, the 57 of Kyle Larson. A big hit up into the outside wall for the 17 and 43. 17 car up into the air. The 00 of Daniel Suarez was extremely lucky to miss this. 99 of Ryan Preece. Number 3 of Austin Dillon, defending race winner here at Wilkesboro, gets collected. The 21 of Austin Cindric. The 42 of Justin Allgaier gets involved in this. And how about this? All the drivers who came down pit road on the last caution, well, they were right in the middle of this mess. Clint Boyer, Chase Elliott, Eric Jones, and Alex Bowman all get damage out of this. In fact, actually, I think Bowman slowed up in time to actually miss the brunt of the damage. But all the cars that came down pit road hoping to get track position at the end of stage number 2, well, now they have damage from this caution on lap 88. And so here's the incident in real time. 41 gets clipped by the 18 of Kyle Busch, tries to get the car corrected, makes contact with that attenuator wall, and a hard hit up into the outside wall goes the 17 and 43, and cars just piling in from that point forward, but a large pileup in turns 3 and 4 here at North Wilkesboro. And how about this lucky positioning for the 00 of Daniel Suarez? You can tell he's right in the thick of this battle. There's the 18 putting the bumper to the 41 of Cole Custer. Custer yanks the wheel back to the right to try and remerge with the racetrack, clips that attenuator wall, sliding out of control back in front of the field. And there's the 00 of Daniel Suarez just barely making it by on the top of the racetrack, missing out on being clipped by the 57 of Larson. He rides the outside wall coming off of turn number 4, but very minimal damage on that 00 compared to what he could have been involved in had he been just about half a car length behind where he actually was running. And we have even more strategy right now, lap 89. Race leader Brandon Jones brings that number 20 Toyota Camry down pit road. And that will leave the race lead to the number 4 of Kevin Harvick above his teammate Aric Almirola and Tyler Ankrum, making up your top 3. And so following that massive pileup through turns 3 and 4, believe it or not, only 2 cars dropped out of the race, those being obviously the 41 of Cole Custer and the number 3 of Austin Dillon. So unfortunately for Dillon, he will not go 2 in a row here at North Wilkesboro. You know, I was given the number 71 team of Josh Blicky praise before, but now they run in 5th position with that Gravely Chevrolet. A very great run going on for Tommy Baldwin. And have a look at this on lap number 92. We have even more cars coming down pit road. The entire top 4, Harvick, Almirola, Ankrum, and Jimmy Johnson down pit road, as well as the 71 of Bilicki and the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. So that now hands the race lead over to the 18 of Kyle Busch in the damaged Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry. Second place runner now Daniel Suarez. Third is the 55 of Ross Chastain. I don't know if I agree with the strategy coming down pit road this time by. We saw what happened to the last group of drivers who came to the pits. They got involved very quickly in an accident that was not of their making. As now the pace car ducks onto pit road, entering turn number 3. 24 of William Byron, the lap car, leads the field through turns 3 and 4. for the restart on lap number 94. And there's the green flag with just 7 laps to go in stage number 2. Quite a few lap cars up in front of the 18 of Kyle Busch, as now Busch tries to make his way to the inside of his teammate Denny Hamlin. You see a 3-wide battle farther back. Justin Allgaier all the way up on the top of the racetrack. Hamlin goes way wide, allows his teammate Kyle Busch to the inside. Now battle side by side. Here comes Suarez up the outside on the 18 of Kyle Busch. Busch forced him up the racetrack, and here comes his brother, Kurt Busch, on the bottom of the track. 18 and 1 cars, 1-2 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Brad Keselowski slides up the racetrack. A little bit of contact right there between the lap car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the lead lap car of Suarez as the 50 of Kaz Gralla slams the inside wall down the front straightaway, but he keeps it going. Less than 5 laps to go in stage number 2. 0-0 of Suarez all the way up towards the top of the track, quickly losing track position as the 18 of Kyle Busch tries to drive away from his brother Kurt. How about this? The 77 of Justin Haley now runs in 3rd spot. An incredible rebound from earlier on in this race. Here comes Clint Boyer, carving his way very quickly through this field. Boyer now taking over the 3rd spot off the 77 with just 3 laps to go in this stage. Now taking over the 2nd position off the number 1 of Kurt Busch. Kyle Busch put a pretty significant separation above the rest of the field, about 7/10. Now above the new 2nd place runner of Clint Boyer. Might just be enough to nurse home that lead for the next 2 laps and take home stage number 2. This is actually the longest green flag run we've had in quite a while. How about this? Justin Haley makes his way around the 1 of Kurt Busch to secure that 3rd spot. And so now Kyle Busch will see the white flag in stage number 2. Quite the rebound from earlier on in this race when he got in trouble with the number 40 of Quinn Houff. And so now Kyle Busch running unopposed with about a 1.2 second separation above the 14 of Clint Boyer, rolls the 18 machine through turns 3 and 4 and takes home the stage number 2 victory. Kyle Busch is your stage 2 winner, above the number 14 of Clint Boyer, 77 of Justin Haley with a great stage finish, 55 of Ross Chastain in 4th, and 43 of Myatt Snyder rounding out your top 5. We might just be set up for an upset finish here at North Wilkesboro, but once again, Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer 1-2, just like they finished last week at Bristol. So now we'll step away for just a moment for the beginning of the final stage here from North Wilkesboro Speedway. Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Not a single lead lap car opted to come down pit road. However, we do have 1 lap down car coming to the pits on lap 102, that being the number 6 of Ryan Newman. Also in with Newman is another lap car, that being the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And so I am really curious over the course of these final 97 or so laps how this battle between Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer is going to go, because Boyer has lost out to a battle between himself and Kyle Busch on 2 separate occasions this season. They both lost to Chase Elliott at Nashville, and 1 week ago at Bristol, Kyle Busch beat out Clint Boyer in the closing laps. I'm sure Boyer is going to use some of those lessons that he learned at Bristol Motor Speedway against Kyle Busch here today. But honestly, just how about Justin Haley? He's had such a tough season adapting to these NASCAR Cup Series cars, and really most of his poor finishes have not been of his own doing. Just been one of the most unlucky drivers in the Cup Series this season. Most of the races this season for Justin Haley have consisted of him getting taken out within the first 10 or so laps in an accident that had nothing to do with him. So it's good to see Justin get some laps under his belt. He's been getting coaching all season long from Xfinity Series competitor AJ Allmendinger, essentially acting as a driver coach to Justin. And some of that help has started to really show itself over the last few weeks. But as you recall, earlier on, back in the summer, at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, Justin Haley was running top 5 all day long. Even had a chance, honestly, at winning that race. But it's great to see Justin getting that type of momentum built on an oval such as North Wilkesboro, and a track that really does favor veteran experience. Seeing a rookie such as Justin running up front is a great change of pace for that 77 team. And so now the pace car hits pit road. The number 18 of Kyle Busch, the playoff contender who was involved in an earlier race accident with Quinn Half, has rebounded, won stage number 2, and now paces the field through turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway, making his way into the Geico restart zone on lap 105. And there's the green flag for the final stage here in the Winston 400 from North Wilkesboro Speedway. Through turns 1 and 2, here comes Boyer to the inside of Kyle Busch. They run side by side off of turn number 2 as the 95 of Harrison Burton almost made contact with the wall. Here comes Boyer, inching his way ahead of the 18 of Kyle Busch coming off of turn 4. 43 of Snyder made contact with the wall farther back. And Clint Boyer takes away the race lead with a little bit of a slide through turns 1 and 2, and a battle side by side now for second spot with the lap car of Hamlin going 3 wide on the bottom. Justin Haley for Spire Motorsports is going to take over second as the 37 of Eric Jones slid coming off of turn number 4, and now 3 wide for the second position goes Eric Jones on the bottom. An incredible battle for second spot has allowed Clint Boyer to gap the field now by almost 1 second. Eric Jones takes away that second spot off the 18 of Kyle Busch. And watch out for the number 9 of Chase Elliott, making his way back up in the top 5. 55 of Ross Chastain down on the bottom of the track, now going for second. Chastain forces the 37 up the hill. Eric Jones almost made contact with the outside wall, and now Ross Chastain is your second place runner. Here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, Chase Elliott on the inside of the 37 of Eric Jones, going for third spot. The number 11 of Denny Hamlin still out in front of the second place runner Ross Chastain. Gap from first to second now 1.3 seconds as Clint Boyer trying to check out in front of this field. Chase Elliott starting to reel in the 55 of Ross Chastain. As you can tell, Ross running a throwback to Davey Allison's 1992 number 28 Ford that he drove for Robert Yates Racing. A Chevrolet here today for Ross Chastain with a very similar paint scheme. This is being reeled in by the number 9 of Chase Elliott. And the paint scheme on Clint Boyer's number 14 Ford Mustang is very special to Boyer himself. It's a paint scheme throwing back to Clint's very own rookie season in the NASCAR Cup Series that he ran, the number 07 for Richard Childress Racing. As now the 9 of Elliott side by side with the 55 of Chastain and takes away that second spot. Chase Elliott assumes that second position, still has to battle the lap car of Denny Hamlin and another lap car, that being the 8 of Tyler Reddick. And looking farther back through the field, the 18 of Kyle Busch starting to drop back just a little bit. He now sets almost 4 seconds behind the race leader of Clint Boyer. And now the 9 and 55 cars slide up the racetrack, battling with lap traffic. And how about this lead that Clint Boyer has put on the field? Almost 2 seconds separate the 14 from the second place runner of Chase Elliott. Got a battle on the inside of the track. The 37 of Eric Jones running a throwback to one of his own late models that he ran about 10 years ago. He's going to take over the third position, works his way to the inside of Chase Elliott. Now going side by side with that number 9 car for second. And Eric Jones takes over the second position. Now sets 2.5 seconds behind the race leader of Clint Boyer. Boyer's almost put a straightaway on the second place runner. Chastain almost put the bumper right there in the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Thought better of it and got back in the line. A very intense battle for second, still ongoing. But that is perfect news for that number 14 car of Clint Boyer. And the 20 of Brandon Jones starting to claw his way back through the field. He now resides in 7th position. Behind him, we also have the 10 of Eric Almirola. Getting around the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. That is going to move Almirola up in 8th position. And now the number 37 of Eric Jones has solidified the second spot. Working his way to the inside of the lap car of Denny Hamlin, and he's started to put a pretty significant gap on the 9 of Chase Elliott. And so finally the 37 is going to have some clean air on the nose. But he has to make up 3 seconds on the race leader of Clint Boyer. Boyer trying his hardest not to be denied of a victory in his final full-time NASCAR Cup Series season. And there goes Jimmy Johnson on the inside, the 18 of Kyle Busch. That will move Johnson up into the 8th position in the number 92, as there was a little bit of contact right there between the lap car of Martin Truex Jr. and the lead lap car of Eric Almirola. I'll tell you, Almirola's getting a very good run here today. He's had a tough season. He's already announced, in fact, that he's going down to the Camping World Truck Series next year to race the number 13 for Thor Sport. A very good run right now in that number 10 Ford Mustang for Stewart-Haas Racing. Currently runs in 6th position, trying to run down the 20 for 5th. And I'll tell you what, we're getting that long green flag run in the final stage. We might have to see some green flag pit stops in the next 25 or so laps. But that 37 of Eric Jones, now with clean air on the nose, has been reeling in that 14 of Clint Boyer by almost 0.3 of a second a lap. 37 car is hooked up. How about this? The 33 of Jan Magnussen on fresh tires actually works his way to the inside of the 9 of Chase Elliott. Magnussen just trying to make one of his laps back, racing his way back through the field, but still very good handle on the racetrack right now, even though it does not mean that much when it comes to his overall finishing position. 20 of Brandon Jones has really started to slice his way through the field, still runs in 5th position, but he's only back by 5.3 seconds from the race leader. 20 car, one of the fastest lead lap cars on track. And so the separation between Eric Jones and Clint Boyer has started to stagnate at about 2.5 seconds. That's good news for Boyer as long as he can keep that race lead stable. Obviously the highest running playoff contender right now is the number 9 of Chase Elliott, currently residing in 3rd position. A good points day if he can finish there. Now the number 10 of Eric Almirola has made his way all the way up to 4th, getting around the 20 of Brandon Jones and the 55 of Ross Chastain. 10 car cutting his way through the field very quickly right now. Teammate to the race leader of Clint Boyer. But the 20 of Brandon Jones, that car's been through a lot. Quite a bit of contact with the outside wall over the course of these 129 laps already contested. However, he is the 2nd highest running playoff contender at the moment, still scoring very good points today if he can finish where he's running. Contact right there between the 11 and 10 cars as Almirola forces his way underneath the lap car of Denny Hamlin, and he makes the move stick. And so Clint Boyer has started to actually gap the number 37 of Eric Jones once again. The separation is now out to about 3 seconds from 1st to 2nd. Boyer is going to have to deal with the much stronger 33 car of Jan Magnussen, who's on fresh tires pretty soon. But still, Magnussen should be able to get by him relatively quickly. The only hope for Eric Jones at the moment is either a caution flag or Boyer gets hung up in the lap traffic of Ryan Preece and the 24 of William Byron. And towards the back of the field, the number 4 of Kevin Harvick just made hard contact up into the outside wall. And ever since Harvick got involved in that accident involving Cole Custer, that number 4 car has never been the same. Running very far towards the back of the field, currently residing all the way down in 29th position, 1 lap down. And so the 24 car of William Byron is back down pit road as we now have an on-track battle between the 10 and 9 cars. Eric Almirola is going to take over the 3rd position in the number 10 for Stewart-Haas Racing. Very impressive run out of Almirola. He sets 5.3 seconds back from his teammate and race leader Clint Boyer. Boyer got held up for just a moment by the number 99 of Ryan Preece, but it did not affect the number 14 car very much. But now he has to deal with the number 33 of Jan Magnussen, who's on fresher rubber. The number 11 of Denny Hamlin is on pit road for a scheduled stop. That is going to drop him even more laps behind race leader Clint Boyer, who is really setting a blistering pace right now. 3 seconds in front of 2nd place. However, the number 10 of Eric Almirola, he's closed the gap down to just 5 seconds from 1st to 2nd. 0.3 of a second gained in the last lap alone. How about this? The number 55 of Ross Chastain is down pit road. He's going to try and short pit the field and possibly make it all the way to the finish. He now drops a second lap down behind the 14 of Clint Boyer, obviously hoping for no caution flags to the finish of this race, because that might just be the strategy that could put him in victory lane if they do not get a caution flag. 88 of Brad Keselowski is also on pit road as well. However, he was about a lap down before he came down pit road anyways. So he's going to drop to about 3 laps behind the race leader of Clint Boyer. And look at this 11 and 55 cars on even fresher rubber than the 33 of Magnussen, quickly going to make their way past the race leader of Clint Boyer and back to just 1 lap down status. Look at that. Boyer can't even attempt to defend from that number 55 of Ross Chastain. Number 10 of Aric Almirola has actually closed the gap down to 4.6 seconds, separating first and second, with now 60 laps to go. See right there the difference between fresh and old tires. Look at that. The 88 of Keselowski just zipping his way around the 8 of Tyler Reddick up on the top of the racetrack. And the yellow flag waves. That ruins essentially the strategy of the number 55 of Ross Chastain. Caution flag out on the speedway. 14 of Clint Boyer is your race leader above the 37 of Erik Jones, 10 of Aric Almirola, 20 of Brandon Jones, and 9 of Chase Elliott. And that traps Ross Chastain a lap behind the race leader. And have a look at this. This is a bit of a strange one. Coming into turn number 3, watch the 1 car of Kurt Busch. Practically doesn't even turn into the corner. Quite possibly had a right front tire flat on the number 1 machine coming into turn number 3, because that car did not turn whatsoever. But here comes the 43 of Myatt Snider, pushes off the corner anyway. The 1 car's up into the wall. They collide and spin around in unison down the front straightaway. Chris Buescher goes for the avoidance down on the inside of the track. This spin out brings out the caution flag as the 1 and 43 cars loop on the front straightaway. And so, folks, we now have pit stops, as it looks like all the lead lap cars that did not yet come down pit road are hitting the pits this time by. Boyer's in. Behind him, we have Erik Jones, Almirola, Brandon Jones, Elliott, Johnson, Ankrum. Everybody's in for what could potentially be their final stop of the day. Clint Boyer is the first car off of pit road. Second car off is Erik Jones on the number 37. Then Aric Almirola, Chase Elliott, and Brandon Jones, your top 5. And so on this restart, Clint Boyer is going to have some lap traffic restarting right up in front of him. Those being the 55 of Ross Chastain, 11 of Denny Hamlin, 24 of William Byron, and 88 of Brad Keselowski. You have to wonder with those 2 Hendrick cars being up front there, especially if they may or may not help the number 9 of Chase Elliott. And so, folks, as we approach just 50 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro, there is only 19 cars on the lead lap. Definitely been a race of attrition here in the Winston 400. And so the pace car hits pit road, and there's the lap car and 2012 series champion of Brad Keselowski in the Navy number 88 for Hendrick Motorsports. He leads the field through turns 3 and 4. And now onto the front straightaway and into the Geico restart zone on lap 147. And there is the green flag. 14 of Clint Boyer already making a move to the inside as there's nearly a crash in the back of the field. They keep it straight for the time being. Here comes Boyer, working his way to the inside. The lap traffic of Ross Chastain. He's got the 37 of Erik Jones all over his back bumper. Here comes Chase Elliott, working his way to the inside of the 10 of Almirola. They touch coming off of turn 4. Almirola does a good job saving that number 10 machine as Clint Boyer carves his way through the lap traffic. Ross Chastain dropping back up on the top of the racetrack. Same situation for Byron. On the 14 of Boyer, left the bottom open. Overdrives turn number 4, gets up into the outside wall. Erik Jones is now your race leader. Boyer with quite a bit of right side damage. Jones out front, and Aric Almirola is going to take over the second position as Boyer now overdrives turns 3 and 4 once again. Number 9 of Chase Elliott making his way up in the third spot. How about Jimmy Johnson back into the conversation, running in the top 5. 50 laps to go here from North Wilkesboro. 95 of Harrison Burton currently holding on to 6th position, and the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto now running in 8th. Up towards the front of the field, there's a bit of a battle right there between the race leader and the lap car of Denny Hamlin. Really driving his car hard to try and get that clean air by getting around all the lap traffic as Jimmy Johnson takes over the third spot. Number 92, Excedrin Chevrolet, holding a good line right now, but gets moved up the hill by the 14 of Boyer. 10 of Almirola right there touch the wall. Here comes Boyer back down to the bottom. Going for second, makes a 3-wide move on Almirola and Jimmy Johnson. And Boyer into second spot. Here comes Harrison Burton down on the bottom. He's going to try and make a move for third position. He's at least going to get fourth right there coming off of turn 4. And there's contact between the 71 of 19 of Blicky and Martin Truex Jr. as the 20 of Brandon Jones has been falling back consistently since the drop of the green flag on lap 146. The 37 of Eric Jones has worked his way past the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Now has to deal with the 88 of Brad Keselowski, as he has a 1.5 second separation on the second place runner of Clint Boyer. Harrison Burton's taken over third spot, and Matt DiBenedetto now running in fourth. Look at Daniel Suarez. He's made a very big comeback since the middle portion of this race. He got a little bit tight coming off of turn number 4, as there's now a 3-wide battle. Johnson made a little bit of contact with his former teammate Chase Elliott. But now Daniel Suarez runs in 5th position. A very good points day going on so far for Suarez. Currently resides as the highest running playoff contender. Got tight right there coming off of turn 4, running right up to the back bumper, the 95 of Harrison Burton, as those two battle for 4th position. And now Matt DiBenedetto takes over the third spot in the 2 for Team Penske. Benedetto slides up the racetrack just a little bit, passes the lap car of Byron, and now the race leader of Eric Jones has gotten around the lap car of Brad Keselowski. Jones has clean air on the nose. That's a very large advantage for Eric Jones to have as the battle continues for third position. Harrison Burton trying to work his way to the inside of that number 2 car. Right there, DiBenedetto held the momentum off the high side and cleared him through turns 1 and 2 as the 14 still trying to figure out a way around the lap car of Denny Hamlin. The gap from first to second has almost been extended out to 2 seconds from Boyer all the way up to Eric Jones, as the 2 of DiBenedetto starting to reel in that 14 car. And Eric Almirola in the number 10 for Stewart-Haas Racing, he has dropped down to 9th position after a bit of a rough restart. Here comes Harrison Burton side by side with the number 2 of DiBenedetto. Burton running a throwback to John Andretti, a personal friend of his and a driving mentor of Harrison Burton. Is a throwback to the car that John drove in 1994 for Billy Hagan in what was then the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. And now the 14 of Clint Boyer works his way around the lap car of Denny Hamlin. Clean air on the nose now for the 14 for the time being until he gets up to the lap car of Brad Keselowski. But there's a 2.5 second separation between first and second. Right there, it's about half the straightaway between the 37 and 14. How about this? Justin Haley still running in the top 10 for Spire Motorsports, currently running in 10th position. A very good run going on so far for Justin in his rookie season. And Clint Boyer's already started to really cut down the race lead of the number 37 of Eric Jones. Almost 2 seconds now the separation. Could have possibly cut out half a second out of that race lead, but he lost 0.2 on that lap. It's now back to 2.3 seconds. As coming off of turn number 4, the 00 of Daniel Suarez made contact with the outside wall. Also, we haven't mentioned what the throwback for Kyle Larson is so far. He's actually throwing back to his 2012 K&N Pro Series East Series Championship as he makes contact with the outside wall coming off turn 4. And as you can tell, Daniel Suarez's throwback is to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s first career NASCAR Cup Series start. It came at Twin Ring Motegi back in 1998, driving for his father, the number 1 car. Chase Elliott now battles Matt DiBenedetto side by side for the 4th position. Chase Elliott's going to take that spot away, as the 14 of Boyer still trying to reel in the 37 of Eric Jones, but he might be witnessing yet another chance at a victory driving away from him in his windshield, because it is 2.24 seconds the margin between the 37 and 14, and right now it's looking like the 37 car of Erik Jones is not going to be slowing down anytime soon. And the number 33 of Jan Magnussen has gone around, coming into turn number 1. The caution flag now waves. And that's perfect news for Clint Boyer, but terrible news for Erik Jones. But Jones leads the field back to the caution flag as the race leader above Clint Boyer, then Harrison Burton, Chase Elliott, and Aric Almirola making up your top 5. The number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto dropped back quite a bit in those last few laps after making contact with the outside wall. And here's what happened to Jan Magnussen on lap 169. He just pushes coming off of turn number 4, makes contact with the left rear quarter panel of the 8 of Tyler Reddick, slides the car trying not to lose it, but then the car gets tail happy and makes contact in the left rear with the inside wall, spinning that number 33 car around down the front straightaway with a single car spin. And there's a problem on the pole sitter, the number 92 car of Jimmie Johnson. He is reporting over the radio that he is suffering from brake fade. They're going to bring that number 92 car down pit road to try and inspect that problem. A tough break for the 7-time champion, who's having a great race running in 6th position. This race, as I mentioned in the pre-race, is a very grueling event. A race of attrition and mechanical failure could be costing Jimmie Johnson a chance at a very good finish here today at North Wilkesboro. And as you can tell, some lap cars coming down pit road, including Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin. And what that means is that there is now 0 lap cars separating the top few runners. 37 of Erik Jones is going to restart nose to tail with the 14 of Boyer, 95 of Burton, 9 of Elliott, and the rest of the lead lap cars still in contention. And so the number 92 car of Jimmie Johnson comes back onto the racetrack. He will have fresh tires, which might be a pretty large advantage if he does not suffer from brake fade on this restart. But they are going to try and keep that number 92 car in the race and hopefully bring home a half-decent finish, because there is only 19 cars on the lead lap. They cannot finish any worse than 19th, obviously, unless they lose a lap to race leader Erik Jones. And so now the pace car ducks onto pit road. Erik Jones trying to win his first career Cup Series victory for JTG Daugherty Racing. Clint Boyer trying to win in his final full-time NASCAR Cup Series season. Erik Jones leads the field through turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway, now into the Geico restart zone. And there is the green flag with just 26 laps to go here in the Winston 400. The field roars down to turn number 1. Here comes the 95 of Harrison Burton trying to make the look underneath the 14 of Boyer. They run nose to tail as the 48 of Bowman makes contact with the outside wall. Boyer runs it wide through turns 3 and 4. Chase Elliott rallying down on the inside of the racetrack, trying to go after the 3rd position, but Harrison Burton cuts him off. 37 of Erik Jones starting to gap the field just a little bit. How about this, the 00 of Daniel Suarez. He's raced his way back up into the top 5, getting his way around the 10 of Aric Almirola, who is dropping rapidly on this restart. 57 of Larson makes contact with the outside wall back there. 95 of Burton trying to make his way to the inside of the 14 of Boyer. There was contact back there between the 47 of Stenhouse and 4 of Kevin Harvick. Those two run laps behind the race leader of Erik Jones, as Jones has been able to gap the 14 of Boyer by now half a second, just a few laps into this run. Looks like Boyer does not have the handle on the racetrack like he did earlier on in this race. Sliding up the racetrack just a little bit. 00 of Suarez now up into 4th position, getting around the 9 of Chase Elliott. Here comes DiBenedetto up into 5th position. And folks, watch out for Jimmie Johnson. He is not suffering for brake fade, and he is carving through the field extremely quickly. If this race goes green, he might actually win this with the very same strategy that he got beat on last season. As the 20 of Brandon Jones made hard contact up into the outside wall, a lot of right side damage. And Boyer overdrives turns 3 and 4 way up into the marbles. And that's going to allow the 95 of Harrison Burton to make the move down on the inside. Harrison trying to fill that space. They run side by side off of turn number 2. Now 20 laps to go. as Harrison Burton's going to take over that second spot. Erik Jones still out front by about 0.6 of a second. And now down the front straightaway, Daniel Suarez makes the move on the inside of the 14 of Clint Boyer. That's going to move Suarez up into the third position, now the highest running playoff contender. And watch out for that 92 of Jimmie Johnson. He has raced his way up into 8th position already. Just hoping for this race to go all the way green. He sets 3.5 seconds behind the race leader of Erik Jones. Might be running out of time though, as we have just about 17 laps to go. Now DiBenedetto runs side by side with the 14 of Clint Boyer. Benedetto takes over the 4th position. Boyer dropping off very quickly. Must have burned up his tires early in this run, as now Chase Elliott takes over the 5th position. And the lap cars of Harvick and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. still getting after it, as there was contact coming through turns 1 and 2. The gap between 1st and 2nd, with now just 15 laps to go, is half a second, separating the 95 of Harrison Burton from the 37 of Erik Jones. Just 1 second back from the race leader, we have the highest running playoff contender, the 00 of Daniel Suarez. The number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto almost made contact with the outside wall right there. Here comes some lap cars with fresher rubber. 88 of Brad Keselowski right up to the back bumper, the 00 of Daniel Suarez, as Suarez tries to make his way underneath the 95 of Harrison Burton. And here comes the 24, Byron, trying to go 3 wide down the front straightaway. Byron makes the move stick. Very dicey moment right there, as now Suarez takes over that 2nd spot. That's going to bottleneck the field just a little bit through turns 3 and 4, as now the 95 goes wide. And will be battling with the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. The 92 car of Jimmie Johnson, his advance has started to stall out as he got moved up to the top of the track. He now runs in 7th position, 3.3 seconds back from the race leader, with now just 12 laps to go. And here comes some lap cars up on the outside of Erik Jones. William Byron works his way around the 37 on those fresher tires. We also have the 88 of Brad Keselowski hounding the 00 of Daniel Suarez at the moment. Keselowski tries to use up that very high line of the racetrack, and he gets great momentum off that high side. Look at that, tries to get to the outside, but Suarez cut him off. And now works his way down to the bottom and easily clears the 00. Now just 10 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro. Erik Jones trying to hold that race lead. Here comes the 88 of Brad Keselowski, makes the move to the inside of the race leader. Actually put the bumper to the 37 of Jones. That's going to be a little bit controversial, I'd imagine. And now here comes the other lap car of Denny Hamlin to the inside as the caution flag now waves. Yellow flag is out on the speedway. Erik Jones leads the field back to the caution flag. Jones is your race leader. Above the 00 of Daniel Suarez. 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. Jimmie Johnson made his way all the way up to 4th position. And the 9 of Chase Elliott running in 5th. And so here's what happened. A tough break for a playoff contender. Watch the number 48 of Alex Bowman running that Ricky Hendrick throwback. Gets clipped coming into turn number 1. Just a misjudgment right there by Justin Haley. Clipped into turn 1 and a hard hit up into the outside wall, knocking that number 48 car out of the Winston 400. Justin Haley, however, will continue. And so obviously the number 48 of Alex Bowman is out of the Winston 400 following that big impact up into the outside wall in turn number 1. We also had another car drop out of the race. It was the 34 of Michael Mcdowell, fell out of the race due to a mechanical failure. And so the pace car ducks onto pit road, and folks, you can just feel the intensity ramping up. There's a lot on the line on this restart. 37 of Erik Jones leads the field through turns 3 and 4. And now onto the front straightaway and into the Geico restart zone. And there's the green flag with just 3 laps to go here in the Winston 400. Here comes the lap car of Ross Chastain trying to make the look to the inside of his teammate. Where will Jimmie Johnson go on those fresh tires? Almost makes contact with the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. Suarez has to pressure the 37 of Erik Jones right here as Johnson misses the corner. Jimmie Johnson overdrives turns 3 and 4. Matt DiBenedetto almost got up into the outside wall, but the 00 of Suarez slammed the wall, trying to catch up to the 37 of Erik Jones. That opens up a perfect opportunity for that number 37 car to get away with that race lead. Caution flag waves, and we're going to go into a green-white checkered finish. The caution flag will wave on the speedway as the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto has taken over second, with the 37 of Erik Jones leading the field back to the caution flag. 00 runs in third, 9 of Elliott now in fourth, and the 92 of Jimmie Johnson dropped down to fifth. We're going to have one attempt at a green-white checkered finish, as the 37 of Erik Jones is going to have a lap car right on his back bumper. However, that lap car of Ross Chastain has fresh tires. Going to make this restart very difficult for Erik Jones. And so here's what happened that brought us into overtime. Coming off of turn number 4, contact gets made between the 89 and 43 cars of Landon Cassill and Myatt Snider. Cassill just clips the 43 car into the inside wall. Pretty big impact right there, sending that 43 car around on the front straightaway. You know, folks, this is the first ever green-white checkered finish to be held at North Wilkesboro Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series. When we left here back in 1996, the green-white checkered rule was not a thing yet in the NASCAR Cup Series. When we came back here in 2020, we didn't need it. So this is officially the first time ever that a race at North Wilkesboro in the NASCAR Cup Series level will come down to a green-white checkered finish. And so the pace car hits pit road for the final time. We have one attempt and 2 laps to make it happen. Erik Jones leads the field through turns 3 and 4. Gearing up for the final restart. Jones now heads into the Geico restart zone. And there's the green flag for the green-white checkered. The lap car of Ross Chastain sets in what would be second position. He tries to make the move to get back onto the lead lap, but he makes it quick enough to where it does not really hurt the number 37 of Erik Jones. Here comes the 00 underneath the 2, now battling for second. The white flag waves for Erik Jones. Suarez sends it in underneath the 2 car. He's going to take over second position, but he's nowhere near close enough to challenge the number 37 of Erik Jones, now through turns 3 and 4. Jones holds off the rest of the field to finally take home his second career NASCAR Cup Series victory. Erik Jones wins the Winston 400 from North Wilkesboro. As the field almost crashes, coming back to the checkered flag, Erik Jones wins for JTG Daugherty Racing here at North Wilkesboro. An incredible run for this number 37 team here in the Winston 400. An incredible job by Erik Jones to hold off the field for those final few restarts. And so Erik Jones has finally done it. He has scored his second career NASCAR Cup Series victory here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and he does it above the best driver of the 2021 season, Daniel Suarez, who got kind of stuck on that final green-white checkered restart, battling alongside the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. Chase Elliott brought home the number 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports in third position, a very respectable points day. Matt DiBenedetto in fourth spot for Team Penske. Jimmie Johnson, after suffering mid-race brake fade, brought it home in fifth position on those fresh tires. Clint Boyer, in yet another race that kind of slipped through the cracks for Boyer, he brings the 14 car home in sixth position. Harrison Burton with a very good 7th place finish for Levine Family Racing. Brandon Jones brings home the number 20 car in 8th spot. Eric Almirola with a great 9th place finish. And Tyler Ankrum rounds out your top 10 in the number 26 for GMS Racing. Farther back, we also have the Busch brothers finishing 11th and 12th place respectively. And Justin Haley as well, after such an up and down day, he brings that 77 car home in 15th position. And so typically I'd be giving you the post-race point standings analysis, as obviously we have concluded the first race of the round of 12. We're in the middle of the playoffs, but our calculation system for the point standings currently is not functioning as anticipated, so we apologize for this inconvenience. However, this is live TV, so you're always going to have situations that you could not anticipate But we will be giving you an analysis of the point standings in our next broadcast, Post-Tech number 26. However, even knowing that we do not have the exact numbers of the point standings, I can confirm a few things about the points from obvious takeaways, such as the fact that Daniel Suarez will be once again the point leader following this race, most likely somewhere around plus 40 above the cutoff line. I'd also expect Chase Elliott to be somewhere around plus 30, and a driver that's going to be in very deep trouble in point standings following this one is going to be Alex Bowman in the number 48 in this race, GMAC Chevrolet, because of his DNF that he suffered through turns 1 and 2, colliding with Justin Haley. That's going to put him in a pretty big point hole coming into the next 2 races of the round of 12 at both Michigan and the Roval. So, folks, we hope that you have enjoyed our telecast of the Winston 400 from North Wilkesboro Speedway. As I mentioned, the next time you'll be seeing us will be on Post-Tech number 26 when we go over the race highlights of the final 2 races of the NASCAR Cup Series round of 12 from Michigan International Speedway and from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Should be 2 very intense races to finish out the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs in the 2021 season. And so now we congratulate JTG Daugherty Racing and the number 37 team of Eric Jones, taking home their 2nd ever win as a team here at the famous North Wilkesboro Speedway.